Hello again, everyone. For Module 2 of PIDP 3351, Assessment of, for, and as Learning, I've created a blog post explaining what an autodidact is, the difference between the assessment types, and why these are so valuable. The link is below, so feel free to read that and share your thoughts. And I created this video to summarize it a bit and explain how I incorporate the strategies into my own classroom. In today's changing world of work, one of the most powerful skills our students can develop isn't just mastering the content. It's learning how to teach themselves. Whether they're adapting to new technologies or working under pressure or figuring things out on the job, the ability to learn independently, what I now know as the autodidact mindset, is a major educational and career advantage. But how can we support that? In my class, it starts with transparency of the assessments. On day one of my program, I tell students exactly how the assessments are going to work, what types of assessments they'll encounter, why I choose to use them, and how each one of them supports different parts of their learning journey. I don't hide the assessment process. I try to use it as a learning strategy for the students. In trades, we do still have a summative assessment at the end, which is controlled by Skilled Trades BC, and we have no influence over that. It's non-negotiable for the students. But how we get there, how we prepare the students, is where we as instructors have some freedom and the ability to bring in some of these techniques and strategies that we've learned throughout our PIDP. And it's where I focus on bringing in the assessments of, for, and as learning. The assessment of learning is the exam or certification at the end. Along the way, we reflect on results so the students can identify what to work on. The assessment for learning is the feedback that happens in real time. For the most part, this is oral. These are the little bits and pieces that we use to encourage the students and get them moving in a positive direction. Some of it's written, it can be formal, it can be informal, but I use all of it to guide their growth while the learning is happening. The assessment as learning is where the students are reflecting. They're checking their own progress and developing habits of assessment that they'll carry into the workplace. I talked a little bit about this in my previous video about how during the practical assignments in the shop, I work more as a mediator in marking student assignments. I ask them questions of it, and then they present how they could do better. I really don't have to provide a lot of feedback or feed forward. I create an environment where the student already knows it, and they just need to hear themselves say it. I remind my students constantly throughout the course. During the course is the time to make mistakes. That's where we want the learning to happen. We want to take every opportunity to reinforce and explain and make sure the concepts and the subjects are understood. The important test is the one at the end. So make all the mistakes ahead of time so that we don't make them then. So I think it's very important for the students to understand this process and start on a path to becoming autodidact. When they get on the job, especially in trades as an apprentice, they'll be mentored by a journey person who most likely has no training in how to mentor or teach. That apprentice under that journey person is still a student. But now they're learning in a very fast-paced, demanding, real-world environment. And they need to be prepared with more than just knowledge. They need skills for learning on the job. They need to ask questions, reflect, self-correct when necessary, and respond to feedback, which is oftentimes delivered quite bluntly and with no rubric. So that's why I try to train them with collaborative learning, coaching, and mentoring in the classroom, and shift away from some of the more traditional information transfer models towards one where students are active partners in their learning. And yes, assessment is still a requirement, but the bigger picture is to teach them that it's not just about passing a test. It's about preparing them to learn for life, whether it's in the classroom, in the shop, or on the job, with or without a formal instructor or mentor. It's about helping them become resilient, reflective, and ready for the real world. Autodidacts. Assessment, when used intentionally, becomes empowerment. And this, I think, as instructors, should be our goal. Thank you very much. I look forward to any feed forward or thoughts you have on this presentation.